Hello, welcome to Sky Sweaty Record Review, episode 118, the only first listen new music review show hosted by a French professor immediately after leaving the YMCA. I knew that today I wanted to review a rap album. I've been doing way too much like psychedelic rock and indie rock and pop and techno. I did the Hippocampus concert and I'm going back again today, so I knew I wanted to review hip hop. There's Toby, my dog. And I knew I wanted to review like a hip hop album. And so I saw that Styles P released a record. Now Styles P is 1/3 of the group the LOX, not to be confused with Tasty Smoked Salmon. And the LOX is a group, like I never bought their CD, I never sought them out. I liked them all right, you know, like they appeared on the Black Rob album back there, which I apparently liked enough to buy on vinyl back in the 90s. That was like $30. I sort of like wondered if they weren't like too poppy because of, they were signed to Bad Boy Records and Puff Daddy. But in general, like, I heard them and I liked them, but I never really got into them. So this is a funny album because it's 20 years after the LOX were really relevant. And here's a solo album by Styles P, one of the members. And not even the member that most people know. Jada Kiss is the guy who has the gobbly voice, and everyone kind of knows him. He's like Sticky Fingers in Onyx. Like, everybody knows him. But not everybody knows the other guy in the group. In Onyx, it's Fred Rostar, who does the majority of the work. And with the LOX, same thing with Styles P. He was the guy who was not bland, but the one who wasn't as remarkable. You didn't always know, oh, that's a Styles P verse, that's his voice, that's his flow. There's something just kind of down the middle with it. So what is this album? First of all, it's very good. It's a little hard to place, because it is so out of time. It is not a 2019 record. But it also doesn't feel like he's trying to make something retro. He's an old head in the old guard and that whole thing, and he's, 46 years old or something. But, it's not about, there's not a single line on the entire album that's like, these young kids just rap about cough syrup, and they don't know how to make beats, and they don't know how to make flows, which are, all basically true. So it's a funny album in that way, that it feels like it's not even intentionally a throwback album. That's just its natural state. I've been getting more into music reviews on YouTube, just because it's a thing I do now. And there's a channel called Hip Hop DX, which is usually good. Sometimes they have a really good headline and then the follow-up is meh. But they talk a lot about generations and old rap and new rap. And I think they do it in a really nice, non-confrontational way. And I think this album is good for that, because one of the things they preach, and I agree, is that, hip-hop eats its old, right? It doesn't eat its young, it eats its old. And it's like, the second you are no longer young, the second you are no longer making the hot new beats, you're just kicked out. The whole first generation of hip-hop, just goodbye. With the exception of LL Cool J, in the second generation, that whole generation, goodbye. You can be name-checked, but even that, hardly ever. So, what do we do with these old school rappers from the 90s? They're not old school, right? LOX is the definition of a new school rap group, at least to me. But what do we do with this guy? Well, we listen to this album, and what makes it so great is what makes it sound like a quality 90s hip-hop album. I'll take the first track as an example. It's sort of very 90s production. There's hardly any trap beats on the whole record. There's sampling. There's break beats. There's kind of a dirty, sad, ghetto feeling. And when I say ghetto feeling, I mean songs about the ghetto, about urban misery. It's not really about getting high and getting rich and having money. There's a weird self-reflective overtone to this record. But in general, it's not, like I said, it's not really of this time. It's of his time, of the late 90s. Lyrically, it's a very pleasant record. It's got a lot of it is about being old, right? It's about maturity. I mean, he starts off, and the first thing he says, here, I'll play it for you.
Just trying to get my mind right out here. Put in my work and collect. eat.
Okay? Like, getting my mind right, putting in my work, collecting, I like to eat. Like, he's not talking about being the richest guy in the world. He's not talking about being the best rapper. He's not talking about having millions of dollars and millions of cars. He's talking about working and eating. And I don't mean like talking about eating. It's not like, and then I had some bacon wrapped scallops. No, it's like, like eating as in like having enough money to eat. So he's talking about subsistence, but then also there's a lot of tracks about change and maturity. So the thing that maybe makes it a little bit too 90s for me is there's a really heavy reliance on the chorus. Like every song has a chorus that's memorable and that they repeat several times. And that's something where I don't mind the new hip hop where like the chorus is like someone just saying the same like 5 words over and over again. Like if I'm looking like my dog over here. My dog goes to sleep. My dog goes to sleep. My dog goes to sleep. Right? Like that's like a modern chorus. Whereas back in the 90s, you had to have like a full four line, maybe 8 line, 8 bars, get it all together and have it be really memorable. So when it's good, it's great on this album. But when it's not, it's a little bit lacking. I sort of thought that like this one track, The Professionals, was going to be my stamp. I'd be like, the whole thing is solid, but this is a particularly good track. I'll play it for you a little bit.
Get the missing when it's pistol, get the blinking, get your range on the ignition, nigga, listen, play your position.
Already, right? Like that's like great production. Boo doo 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 doo, and he goes right in with the verse. Like it's got that attack, that awesome like late '90s, early 2000s attack rap attitude.
Dealer musician, now I sell fruit. Let's call this fruition. School of hard knocks, yeah, I paid my tuition. If I made my decision that somebody gotta go, then you want to dock a boat. You can find them when they fishing.
Okay, so I thought that was going to be it. I thought that was going to be the highlight. It's got a chorus by the guy from M.O.P., not to be confused with the Mop. I guess if you like were eating like a good bagel with smoked salmon and then spilled it on the floor and mopped up the floor, that would be like listening to this. That's the worst joke I've ever told. Please don't remember that I made that joke. So having M.O.P., he does like a traditional M.O.P. yelling chorus.
Space down, you fucking with professionals. We clear the place out. In a place, leave a nick.
And it's nice. It's nice to have that throwback sound. But actually, that's not the highlight. There's like let me count here. The last 4 tracks are just awesome. All 4 are great. All made by different producers. I swear, there must be like hip-hop producers must be so thankful that this album came out. Because it's like, most albums are just produced by one guy, and it's like, stoom, stoom, and some guy at the front being like, Sleepy Dog on the track, right? I'm really thinking about Sleeping Dogs right now, And like on this album, it's all these producers, and they're just bringing all these great beats and samples. I mean, I'll play you. Let's see, this song, "Out in the Jungle." It reminds me actually like the old Can I Bus album. I don't know if you can quite hear it.
It's hyenas and lions and gorillas and snakes and all that other shit.
And it's got kind of that funny lyrics, like there's snakes and lions and all that other S word, Like I find that pretty funny. There's a lot of really funny, actually just sick rhymes on this album. I mean, on that album, I'm going to find some of the sick lines here. On another track, he makes reference to suggesting that you eat a full bag of male chickens, which is pretty funny. Some other lines that I particularly liked. You're a goldfish, I'm a megalodon in the pond. And then there's a whole other series of rhymes that are just completely nerdy. And at one point he says he's a nerd before he's a gangster. On this track, he makes reference to himself being like Tyrion Lannister. And then the name of the album is The Goat, the ghost of all time. And you can see the picture, it's like a big wolf, which is, that's Ghost on Game of Thrones. And like he talks about Iron Man, he talks about Darth Vader, he talks about Luke Skywalker. I get the sense that maybe he was a nerd growing up. Or maybe just once you're a millionaire and you're a musician, what are you going to do? Just kind of hang around, watch TV, make records. And you rap about what you know, if you're good. You rap about what you know, and then that ends up being, what do you know? Well, I just saw Thor. So he name checks Thor. But yeah, so there's just this whole last 4 tracks on the album. You have that song, Out in the Jungle. The song Really Us is another great track. Listen to this, an actual breakbeat. Right? I mean, when do you even get to hear that in hip-hop anymore? The piano comes in.
It's gangsta in my DNA, but I'm a hippie that gets trippy. And if I'm paranoid, I blow you a few feet away. The Trinity's 1/3.
The last track is called I Ain't S-Word, and it's like a great hip-hop track, because he's saying he is nothing, but you're nothing, and no one's anything, but if you mess with me, you know, that's a bad idea. But it's this great sort of theme that goes along about change and maturity, and that's best seen in the track Change, which is one of 3 or 4 kind of downbeat songs. One of them is terrible. Whatever you do not listen to the song Give and Take. That is the worst song. It's got wind chimes. It's like a nightmare version of The Way It Is by Tupac. It's like, imagine if that song were just way cheesier. Terrible. But the rest of the album's really good. In particular, Change is funny because it has like a modern, auto-tune chorus. And it's even got kind of a trap beat. But he puts more into it. The beat's got a little bit more. And then the whole song is about like growing and changing. And it has my second favorite movie reference where he says, I want my $2. Like that kid talking to John Cusack from the movie After School. 3 O'Clock High? 3 O'Clock High. Another great movie reference is at one point he says, I'm smart. And he says it like Fredo Corleone, which is quite funny. So I'll leave us with Change, which is just a really great track. So it's got that, that emo going there, right? That emo rap. And the trap. But as you hear in the background, he's doing more. The producer's doing more. It's like this nice kind of haunting piano thing. And then his verses are just great.
Slow motion better than no motion. When you better off dead, it's like the soul float. But I want my $2. Like the paper boy to John Cusack.
Oh, it's Better Off Dead is the movie, because he straight says it in the song. He says slow motion is better than no motion. Talking about it's better to be old than dead. Which, you know what, I'm going to use that. My next birthday, my 42nd birthday, I want to get a cake. And a lot of people I know and love watch this show. So I want to see a cake that says slow motion is better than no motion. That's what I want to say on a cookie cake, actually. Who likes cake? Cookies. On my cookie cake, I want to say slow motion is better than no motion. Because then, it's like the show. So anyways, that's my review of Styles P. I mean, I took a lot of notes. I didn't even get to everything here. There's so many great things. I mean, on the song Push the Line, he's got a cool sample that's just like someone being like, oh, yeah. On the song So Much to Say, it's really neat. Like, he really stylizes that you ain't, like he says, you ain't this and you ain't that, but like he just really hits it really hard. And I actually saw my ex-girlfriend's best friend at the gym, and she's from French Canada, so it made me think of like, you ain't, it kind of sounds like a French Canadian accent. A song with Jadakiss, Dead Man, is pretty good, not the best on there. Just in general, a wonderful album, a throwback, but not retro. So there you go. Thank you, Styles P. That is a good album. There's the camera.